Hello, everybody, and welcome to the spooky season here on Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams. You are here watching the Marquee. Tonight, we are tier ranking all the Child's Play movies, and we're going to have some fun with this. So, joining me is a very distinguished panel of guests. We've got returning to the Cinefanatics channel again, because she absolutely adores us, Miss Torie Rose. How are you doing tonight, Torie?
I'm living. I'm alive. I've had a week. I'm ready to talk about some horror movies that let me escape reality for a while.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And we also are joined by Mr. Vernon Greene. How are you doing tonight, sir?
How's it hanging, Phil?
Phil's hanging pretty well.
Yeah. Looking forward to this.
Yeah. Those of y'all who know, me and Vernon are extremely like big like Chucky fans. So eager to be ranking some Chucky movies. That being said, before we get started, those of y'all know how these shows work. Y'all know how YouTube works. Y'all have any questions, comments, issues, complaints, or if you want us to read off your list, because apparently that's a precedence that Commentating Nerd has set. If you want us to read off your list of where you would rank it, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Get those donations in for that. Tonight is going to be a donation stream for Miss Torie Rose over here. So, yes, please help her out. She's got some medical stuff that has come up. So, if y'all feel the need, please donate. Again, we will address those as they pop up. If you're submitting your list, I'll probably save that to the end. And if I'm going to forget, please remind me. I will definitely read those off. But yeah, there's a lot to do when running this show. So yeah, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. All proceeds go to Torie tonight. And again, thank y'all for being here for that. Also, real quick, patreon.com/cinefanatics. If you feel the need to support us, if you have the means, go to patreon.com/cinefanatics and choose the tier that is good for you and your budget. And we very much appreciate everyone who is supporting us. So that being said, we are going to be covering some Chucky movies. Chucky is very, very popular right now, due mainly because the second season of the Chucky TV show has just started this past Wednesday on SyFy and USA. The first season, I feel like me and Vernon were talking about it, or we did a show last year covering like all the episodes, and we feel like it started pretty rough, but then got better. And hold on a second. There we go. So yeah, in celebration of second season of it, we're gonna rank Chucky movies, all 8 movies, including the reboot, remake, whatever it is. I'll explain why that abomination exists when we get to it. But anyways, are we ready to go?
I'm ready. I just wanted to reiterate that, yeah, if you can donate, anything is appreciated. If you can't, no worries at all. I know I'm not going into specifics on it, but anything helps, truly. So, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Robert said.
Okay. So, before we get started, of course, we do have the rules for tonight. It's going to be a shorter episode. I mean, we're hoping. Could be 4 hours long with how long some of us could talk about Chucky. I mean, seriously. But we're going to try to keep this shorter than normal. So we do have some rules. Now, typically, Johnny reads the rules. Last time we tried doing this, Johnny was on vacation. I'm not sure he's here tonight. So I'm just going to put up the rules and hope for the best. Johnny, are you there?
I already told you I'm back here, you stupid son of a bitch. Look at that stupid-looking silver face next to you. It's prettier than you. Your mom slapped you in the face when you came out. Anyway, the rules tonight is going to be 8 movies, total between 6 tiers. Limit any 2 of them to any 2 tiers. You can have 2 movies in those tiers. Why did you write the rules like this? These are confusing as hell. Basically, what they're saying is there's going to be 8 movies total. There's 6 tiers. 2 of those tiers can have 2 movies. These knuckleheads are going to decide which 2 tiers will have 2 movies in them. If you don't understand that, you're on your own.
Thanks, Johnny. Anyone else find it weird that Johnny kind of sounds like my brother every once in a while? It's kind of...
Have you ever seen them in
Shut
the same
your
room?
mouth. You're dumb.
Learn how to throw your voice. Impress your friends.
I've never seen them in the same room together. That's all I'm saying.
I'll be honest, I've never seen Johnny ever, so I mean, I don't know. Anyways, let us get going with this. Let's bring out Carl. And I just realized Carl's the only thing on tonight's episode that has not been spookified other than the rules, I guess. But yeah, let's bring out Carl. Carl, where are you at? Could dance to that like all night, like seriously.
It's a bop.
It kind of is. So this is the Marquee. Here's how this works. If y'all are familiar with tier ranking, we're going to introduce these movies one at a time. We are going to go through this panel and like basically speak our thoughts about this movie, and then where we put it. S tier is the highest tier. F tier is the lowest. So yeah, we've got 8 movies to get through. And let's see real quick. Chris is in the chat. I'm not even supposed to be here today. I think I was wearing that shirt earlier, actually. Or no, the I Sure You Were Open Clark shirt. Jared Simpson, thank you for joining us. I watched all the Dead Meat Chucky episodes. Does that count? It kind of, I mean, if you've seen the movies, those are really good like recaps for it. We're big fans of Dead Meat here, or at least I am. The other one doesn't watch horror movies.
I like my meat alive.
Yeah, I will say if y'all like horror movies, go check out the kill counts on Dead Meat. Like I actually like am falling asleep watching those like every night, so they're a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and kick things off with the very first movie, which would be the original. As soon as the same wants to play with me, the original Child's Play from 1988. And to kick things off, we're going to start with Mr. Vernon.
So, Child's Play, the original, memorable. For the time, you know, you had a great use of practical effects and costume for the Chucky doll. I think the story was pretty solid for the time. Really scarred me as a child because I saw this whenever I was young. I saw all the Child's Plays whenever I was young. And I can't say enough about it. The kills, the music, the jump scares, the fake jump scares, the fact that it had Mr. Fright Night himself, Chris Sarandon, in it. Good movie, good movie. I will give this movie the first S tier film.
And I believe it was also directed by Mr. Fright Night director Tom Holland, not the Spider-Man Tom Holland.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Torie.
So I agree with a lot of that. I would say I actually hadn't seen this movie before this week. I've seen some of the others in childhood, just like as they were on TV. But I actually saw it for the first time. And yeah, I would say I found it really enjoyable. There were parts where I like, for me, Chucky is all about humor. And I did, you know, having seen like Bride of Chucky and some other ones before seeing this, I did find myself like missing a lot of those like quips and jokes that are like a lot more strewn about in the later ones. But you know, like it's creepy and how you like, you know, Chucky's gonna come alive, obviously, you know, there's gonna be some murders happening. But, you know, I think about the scene where the mom like drops him under the couch. Really freaks me out for some, like I'm just like, ugh, like lift your couch up, like don't stick your head down there, like what are you doing? Like there is an ominous feeling to it of like who do you believe? Like is this boy correct? And like him getting separated from his mom, it's like very traumatic. Besides just the fact that he's murdering people, like Andy, that's the kid's name, right? Right?
Andy Barkley, yeah.
He has a lot of trauma. And even in the second one, like he gets separated from his mom, his aunt dies while he's home. Like there's a lot of deeper, like darker themes in this that I really appreciated. So yeah, I agree. I put it in S tier. It's my first S tier.
Yeah. I do like his aunt Maggie is what's her name from Grease. Mm-hmm. She's one of the pink ladies, Maraschino. I forgot her first name. But yeah,
Dinah. What's her real name?
That's Dinah Minhoff.
Mm-hmm.
Dinah Minhoff is her real name. I forgot like her first name, but yeah, she's one of the pink ladies in Grease, and that was kind of a weird thing to find out. The other one,
Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved.
What?
Yeah. The other interesting thing, the mom in Child's Play, Catherine Hicks, she actually met her husband on the set of Child's Play, Kevin Yeager, who did like the animatronics for it. Yeah, so real interesting there. I do like we got Child's Play is a prequel to Star Trek 4. As Catherine Hicks moved to San Francisco, gave up her kid, and started over.
You know,
that's pretty funny. Anyways, for me, yeah, the original Child's Play, I'll be honest, this isn't my favorite of the series. There's one above it.
for me too.
There's one that's my absolute favorite of the entire series, but the original Child's Play is number 2. Kind of like my Star Wars. I think Return of the Jedi is my favorite, and New Hope is right after it.
I can already tell what film is going to be y'all's S tier film. I already know it.
Yeah. That being said, because I am allowed to put 2 in A tier if I would like, I will put the very first Child's Play in S tier. So that's 3 in S tier, and I have no freaking clue where I'm going to put this. Okay, I'm kidding. It's going to S tier. I fooled all of y'all. Y'all all
Can you
thought
check the math on that? Can you
Yeah.
can we see the math? Can we see the proof?
Look, Torie, I'm going to need you to trust me.
All right.
The thing is, if I'm right on the film that y'all are putting in S tier, I can't argue it. It's
I'm pretty sure
curious.
you're probably right.
if,
Then.
if you know my commentary of the first season of Chucky, you know who my favorite characters of the franchise are. So,
Well, I don't know then. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I have a feeling that Torie and I may not share the same one as also wanting
curious.
to be an S. So,
Very curious.
anyways, we will move on to number 2, which is Child's Play 2.
Whoa.
Watch out, Jack.
Choo-choo.
Chucky's back. So, this one we will start with Torie.
So I have similar sentiments to the first one. I think it is a good sequel in terms of horror sequels. Like we rarely get, one that follows up to the second, I feel like. I think again, the same issue, if you say give it an issue, is I just love the horror and the quirkiness of the later ones for me. But I think it's like, again, it's like it goes into the trauma of Andy, like being followed, being separated from his mom, like going into foster care. Like I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, even though obviously the doll is fake. It's like the idea that like the truth is this thing and no one's believing them. So this mother and son are separated, which makes it worse. And then he's having to deal with it on his own. And Chucky like takes advantage of that, I feel like. And so for me, it's not as good as the first one, just because I do think there were some expectations already made. We knew what Chucky was capable of. Obviously in the first one, I knew what he was capable of, but it sets him up in the first one, which I found really fun. This one, he's already established, and we're more so watching the fallout of the first one. So for me, let me just make sure I get it right. I had this one actually in B tier.
B
as in boy. Yeah.
B.
B.
Okay. So this one I liked because kind of like what you were saying. The first movie dealt with like almost the first half of the movie is is Chucky alive? Is he not alive? Is this kid crazy? Who knows what's going on? This
Is
movie,
the aunt really a bitch that deserved it? We don't know.
This movie, right away, right off the bat, we already know Chucky is alive. He's a real thing, and it just goes straight into Chucky killing fools, or what's his face from Ally McBeal. So Greg German, something like that. So I like that. I like the fact that this is a much more vibrant movie. Like the first movie took place like in like the dark streets of Chicago. This one is a lot more saturated. It's a lot more brighter. And I am a big fan of like heavy saturation and stuff. So I like that. It's a lot more pretty, a lot more beautiful to look at. this is also where I think like Chucky really started coming up with like the jokes and the quips and stuff, like the "How's it hanging, Phil?" comes from Child's Play too. So I like that. I also like as far as Andy Barclay goes, he's definitely a traumatized kid in this. The first movie, he was like, "I'm a kid and I like playing with my doll and everything's fun."
Yeah, he doesn't even have the ability to grasp like what's going on. He's like the aunt's a bitch. Like he just says it. Like he doesn't even understand what he's saying.
Yeah. In this movie, he's very like he's like an adult that has already gone through like a lifetime of trauma. He's like, well, it doesn't matter. He's just gonna come and kill me again anyway, so might as well. Like he's just like very sad and depressed little kid. But I do like the number one thing I love of this is the final act of this movie at the Play Pals factory is easily the best ending of all the Chucky movies. That being said, this is the one that I would rank higher than the first Child's Play. I love Child's Play 2 a lot more. So this is going to be my other S.
Can I also just throw in there, I forgot to mention about this one, I like that they like the company aspect, like the capitalism aspect of like, let's keep making the dolls. Like it wasn't the dolls' fault, like it wasn't our fault. Like just like that aspect as well of like them still trying to produce these dolls and like worrying about the sales of it and how Andy affected the sales of it. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. And then they try it again in the third movie.
Yeah,
like,
and you're like,
they just
maybe
never
this doll ain't it. Maybe it ain't it. Maybe we move on. Yeah.
They keep pumping them out. Yeah. Anyways, Vernon.
So yeah, 2. You know, oftentimes sequels are never as good as the originals. This one is where I argue that fact. You said it best. The final act of this movie is probably the most, you know, even playing field and even most stretched out version of how we get rid of Chucky. You know, he's losing limbs. He's becoming part of the factory. He's using everything he can in his arsenal. I mean, he puts a knife in his arm to keep coming at you. And it's good animatronics, good puppetry. And Alex Vincent in this movie, you said it, he is traumatized. His acting in this one is really, really good, from the ups and downs that he has when he's with the foster family. The fact he gets picked on at school. I do like Miss Kettlewell. You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell. This one's really good. And I would say, yes, this would be my other S tier film. There are a few parts in it that I'm not high on, but overall, you know, the introduction of Kyle, the fact that somebody else now can believe, or that believes that Chucky is real, because she's the final girl of this franchise, because Andy's not a girl. So yeah,
that's how it works.
I put this within S tier. This would be my other S tier film.
Yeah, I like Miss Kettlewell because she just, you just want to like shut up and listen. Just this kid's trying to tell you the truth. And
does it remind you of like It a bit, right? Like the idea of these kids are seeing something that's real. It can really kill them, and the kids are really dying. And all the adults are like, "What's going on?" Like even the obliviousness of I'm so bad at names, but the girl's father in the blood scene, like
Phil.
she's experiencing this thing, and he's like, you can't even see it. Like I always thought that theme in horror is so good, of like Invisible Man. Beverly, like there's something going on and everyone else is like, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like that's terrifying. I always love that when horror movies do that.
That's why Miss Kettlewell is always doubting everyone's commitment to sparkle motion. So it's a Donnie Darko. Anyways, so we've got a B and then 2 S's. So I think this would put it at the top of A.
It would be an A. Yeah.
I don't mind that. Yeah, it's just I love the well, you'll find out which one I really love. But...
well, since it's not that one, I think I can guess which one you That being said, again, I see we've got people watching us. Again, this is a donation stream. If anyone would like to donate to streamlabs.com/cinefanatics, all proceeds go to help Torie out with some medical bills. So if y'all have the need, if y'all have the ability, the budget, please donate. Ask us a question. How do we feel about Child's Play? How do we feel about any horror movies? How do we feel in general? Just ask anything. Feel free to submit your own tier ranking of where you would rank these movies. I'll read those off at the end here. And then also make sure you stick around because I will be showing the thumbnail and who our guests are and talking about the marquee for next Friday. So we're doing 3 of these this month. So stick around at the end of this and I'll be revealing that. Moving on, we've got the 3rd movie in the franchise. Guess what it's called? Just take a wild stab in the dark.
Chucky.
Shrek 3?
You're absolutely right. It's Child's Play 3.
Wow.
Such a great title. I think this is probably one of my favorite titles out of all these movies so far.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
The nuance is incredible.
It just rolls right off the tongue, Child's Play 3, because I mean, it feels like it would be the successor to Child's Play 2. This joke's getting really dumb, so I'm just going to talk about the movie. So I have some things with this movie, as I feel like most everyone in the world does too. The thing I don't like about this movie is this movie was cranked out I believe less than a year after the second one. And for some reason, they wanted to age up Andy, which is mind-boggling because Alex Vincent has been doing a phenomenal job playing this little kid. And now all of a sudden we're going to pretty much get rid of the one human character that we've been following and connecting with this entire time. We're going to age him up 17 years, or he's age 17. So they aged him up 10 years or so. And they send him to a military academy, which turns into a very generic military setting.
8 years because he's 16.
8? Okay. So one benefit I do like is the fact that Andy is played by Justin Whalen, which during the early 90s or so, you may know Justin Whalen as one of 2 actors who played Jimmy Olsen on Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Dean Cain's name in public anymore. Anyways, reasons. Other than that, the rest of this movie, there's a couple of good and bad with it. Some of the acting is really good. I love Da Silva. Da Silva's a great character. Some of the choices that they decide to make with it, though, why is there a carnival that close to a military academy, in the middle of nowhere? That was a little weird. But yeah, William Harold, why did you say that name? I'm sorry. Otherwise, I think some of the effects were pretty good. The animatronics on the doll are easily getting better when compared to the first one. So they know what they're doing. They're cranking it out pretty well. That being said, this is, let me see, what do I have? This is going to be C tier for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to put it in C. Vernon.
So this would be the first Child's Play that I actually saw, and I saw it in theaters as a 5-year-old boy. My mother did not. I remember this movie, every scene of it in the movie theater. The scene that sticks out the most to me is the scene where the guy gets crushed in the garbage truck. Mm-hmm. Now, the movie itself, garbage. I don't like it.
Nice segue there, Vernon.
Exactly.
That was really good.
I appreciate Justin Whalen for his acting, but no. Give me back my Alex Vincent, even though it was just a year later. There are some good jokes in this one. My favorite one is whenever Chucky finds Andy's Playboys and he goes, "Andy, my, how you have grown."
No.
It's just good humor to me. But yeah, even a guy from the original Hellraiser couldn't save this movie. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Andy
Robinson.
Andrew Robinson, yes.
Yeah.
The original Larry Cotton.
Yeah,
from
I love him
Hellraiser.
in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Did not love him in this movie. Almost freaked me out in this movie.
He's like,
the ending-
presto, you're bald.
The ending seemed rushed, and there's no way that roller coaster was at that carnival, because you look at the ride and then all of a sudden it's a fucking full-on warehouse size thing we're talking here. So yes, William Garrick, thank you. So this movie, in my heart, for Child's Play, is a D tier film.
Okay. I feel crushed by that. I'm okay with that. Yeah, the fact that there's this like gigantic like roller coaster ride at a traveling carnival, this is like really weird.
That is huge once you get inside of it. It's like 6 rooms.
Well,
get out of here.
Yeah, and then it's got like that gigantic fan that like,
and that wasn't the only one. There were multiples in that room.
It's so weird. Yeah. Hello there, PLD. None of these movies have Ed Harris in them, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would probably be PLD's favorite Child's Play movie.
Yeah.
But feel free to let us know which one you like, PLD. I know you're a big horror fan as well, especially your opinions of the Halloween franchise. So, moving on to Torie. How did you feel about Child's Play 3?
Y'all covered it really well. The issues that I had with it are the same issues y'all had with it. Just compared to the first and the second, it just wasn't it for me. I can't even really remember like a good quip from it besides like, yeah, like I think the Playboy scene you mentioned. Yeah, it just didn't really like extend anything for me in terms of like the story or like make anything more interesting to me. And so for me, I also put it in D tier. It's not my least favorite out of all the ones we're going to talk about. But it didn't do anything for me. Like I probably wouldn't watch it again unless I was like purposely watching all these movies, like for something like this.
Yeah.
Presto, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 Ds and a C.
That's a D.
Yeah, so that's going to be the high end of D. Yeah, this is the one that begins with them picking up the blob of plastic, melted plastic that's dripping blood.
Yeah, they go into it and it's bleeding like
all
a
over the vat.
And it had been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
A little unbelievable there, guys.
Or the fact that it's dripping blood all over an entire vat of plastic, yet only one doll.
And see, that's the thing. I thought about it while watching it. This could be a loose end that kind of plays into the Chucky series, that maybe the blood infected more than one doll and it just had to be brought to life. So, yeah, I mean, they're very loose in there. If
you watch any of the behind the scenes or any interviews with the creator, Don Mancini, the holy creator, Don Mancini, he does say that was his intention, is to create multiple Chuckies in Child's Play 3. Yeah. But the studio just was not wanting to pony up the money to make that a possibility, because that meant like at least 2 or 3 other animatronics all running at the same time. They're like, no. So that's why that was not used, but it will come back later. So Don Mancini always gets what he wants in the end with this franchise. I will say also, this is the only franchise, I believe, the only horror franchise that the creator of the franchise has been in control of the entire franchise the whole time, with the exception of the 2019 reboot, which I'll dive into that when we get to it. But otherwise, he's been in complete control the entire time, and I don't know of any other franchise that's done that. Even like Sean Cunningham fell off the Friday 13th movies. Wes Craven fell off the Nightmare on Elm Street. Other than Wes Craven doing all 4 of the Scream movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Speaking of Scream, so Child's Play 3 like ended up tanking in the box office. Just was not very well performed, as you can tell by our ranking here. So the Child's Play series went dormant until the mid-90s brought upon the Scream franchise, and then Scream brought meta horror to the full like front line. Military joke. Anyways, brought that forward, and then everyone started doing this whole meta thing, which is why we got Bride of Chucky, which is where a lot more of the jokes come from. A lot of meta humor came from this, and a whole lot of retconning as well. Anyways, so for this one, we're going to start with Torie.
So, spoiler alert, this is my favorite of all the movies.
I'll say this is your S tier. Yeah.
I would have sworn it would have been Seed of Chucky.
I do like that one a lot. This one for me, this was just on TV late at night when I was like a young teenager, and I would catch like scenes of it, and it just always like intrigued me. And like, this is what I think of when I think of Chucky. Like, I think of, you know, like the jokes in here, like fuck Meryl Streep. Like, it's just, I just really enjoy it. I think it's funny. I think it's self-aware. So like the whole doll thing, like I think it just uses, it's just self-aware. I don't know. And it does it really well, and the jokes really land with me. I really like it. I don't know. I really like it. I do like Seed of Chucky as well, though. So for me, this is my other S tier. I had it, let me see. I had it actually above Child's Play 88. I'm sure it won't get there, but I just, like, this is what I think of when I think of Chucky. This is like one of those horror movies that I would just catch scenes of as a kid, as a teenager, that made me like fall in love and be interested in horror. You know, right up there with like House of Wax and Friday the 13th and all of that. So this is just, yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. I don't know.
Awesome. So S tier for Torie.
Yes.
Real quick before I go, we did get a Streamlabs in from Errolowl. Thank you, Errolowl.
Thank you.
So Errolowl donated saying, not here for the horror movie fest, just the people. Well, that's nice.
Thank you.
So thank y'all. If you too would also like me to read your comment or anything else, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Again, all proceeds donated tonight are going to go to Torie to help with some medical bills. So please donate if you can. Thank you. Anyways, for me, Bride of Chucky, yeah, I think just as I'm trying to figure out exactly where to start with my opinion, Jeremy Miller throws in the proper comment. The chemistry between Chucky and Tiffany is what makes these work. I do like this movie starts off again with the, is Chucky alive? We don't know. Tiffany's trying to revive him with the, was it the Voodoo for Dummies book?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Baby, if I was a dead doll, would you still like me? That's the... She did.
So she tries bringing him back. We get a great the reveal of Chucky being alive is this great scene where he's sitting on top of the late great Alexis Arquette's chest, and then does the whole like Exorcist like head spinning around type of thing, and then ripping it. Oh, just so good. I do like the meta humor of this. Bride of Chucky is the one where I didn't watch it when it first came out, but everyone my age, just came out, I believe, 98, 99, something.
98 was the year I was born. Yeah, 98.
So I was in high school. Thanks for making me feel old, Torie. Thank you so much.
What time of year was it? Was it probably October? Do we know? I know that's a weird question. I
can't remember.
Let me see. I was probably born. Yeah, I was probably a baby.
But I do remember like going to the bus stop before school and everyone's talking about this movie.
It was
and
October.
And this was also the one that really pushed like Chucky. This became like the Chucky show. That like they got rid of the whole Child's Play title. It's now Chucky front and center. And because of that, that's where we got like him doing guest appearances like on Saturday Night Live or WWE wrestling or something like that. Like he kept popping up in all these other like pop culture places, like he was like a damn person doing the smile at a baseball game promoting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like this is also what made Chucky like a household name. Like my parents, who never are not horror movie people by any means, like, you know, I always say like they know the Batman villains because of how prolific they are. Like they know the Joker, they know the Penguin, they know Chucky. Like Chucky, I feel like is everyone, if you say like, oh, a Chucky movie or Chucky, like they know what it is.
Yeah. So a lot of that just because, again, reacting to how Scream set up horror movies at that time made Bride of Chucky extremely successful. A lot of good things in this movie, a lot of good jokes, good quips, good back and forth between Chucky and Tiffany. I love the idea of bringing Tiffany in. I have a feeling if I was like a diehard Chucky fan from the very beginning, watching them all in the theaters, enjoying them all, I probably wouldn't like this movie as much. But since I didn't start watching Chucky till much later, when you watch the first three for the first time and then you land on Bride of Chucky, it's like a refreshing breath of fresh air, I guess. I can't describe shit. I need to go to movie critic school, apparently. But yeah, it's such a switch from what we had in the first three movies that it's just so entertaining. So that being said, I will put this at an A, just because I like the meta of it.
Vernon.
Have I got a rubber? Tiff, I'm made out of rubber. Yeah, so 1998, I am 12 years old, and you put two of my childhood crushes, being Jennifer Tilly and Katherine Heigl, in a movie.
They're gorgeous in this. Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be a favorite of mine. Then, of course, for you Hocus Pocus fans, Kathy Najimy is in the film.
Oh, yeah, she's the maid at the hotel. Yeah.
John Ritter, great in what he did in the movie.
Doing his best Pinhead.
Yeah. And you said it best. The meta humor this is where it all really kicks into high gear. This movie was made for MTV and still to this day holds up as a good movie to watch. Yeah, I mean, if I had 3 S tier films, I would probably put this one at an S, but I used 2 of mine already, so I've got to go high A on this one.
So that's 2 A's and an S. Child's Play 2 was 2 S's and a B.
Yeah, so I'd say it takes the top A spot.
This one's gonna go above it.
I mean, you said it. It does a lot of the retcon stuff to where they need the amulet.
Yeah, that was weird.
Films.
Yeah, the heart of Damballa that apparently was buried with Charles Lee Ray's body after the first movie. Like, where did that come from?
If you watch the first movie, there's an amulet on his body in the first movie.
Interesting.
You can barely see it, but something that is very similar to what they play off in the later movies is there. And it's even on the painting that he has of himself at his apartment. It's on his neck there too.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get to what I would call a low point in the series. Not trying to persuade any of y'all's opinions, but Seed of Chucky.
I'd like to kick this one off.
Who did we start with last time?
I started Bride.
Go ahead, Vernon.
Yeah. So I can say honestly, this is a fun film. It's not a great film, but it's a fun film. Basically have Jennifer Tilly making fun of herself the entire movie. I don't want to mention it, but Redman's in the movie. John Waters makes an appearance. God bless the little people. It's fun, and Lord knows I love me some Glenn and Glenda. But I've got to give it a C tier film just because it's not a real Child's Play / Chucky movie. It's literally just a farce of itself. The ending's not good, even though it does open up the world into Glenn and Glenda, but still I can't say anything good about it.
Yeah.
Funny is about it.
Yeah.
Torie.
Yeah, I liked this movie. I would say it still has a lot of the meta humor from Bride. I agree with you that it doesn't really feel like a horror movie. Like, I mean, there are scenes that like I was refreshing myself even right before this with like scenes from it, and some of the comments on YouTube were like, I had to remind myself this was a horror movie, or I had to remind myself this was a Chucky movie, because it's just like them arguing, or like, you know, about like the gender thing, and like a lot of it is just that humor, and it's not as much about the horror. I mean, I love the humor though. Like I said, that's what I look for in a Chucky movie. I don't think it's as funny as Bride, and not as good as Bride by any means. But I had this one in a B tier. I think there are funny moments. I think the kid is creepy, whatever his Glenda, like the toy appearance is creepy. But yeah, it's not really a horror movie. It's mostly just like the quips, but yeah.
So for this is where the humor goes a little too far off the road. Like, speaking of going off the road, the Britney Spears gag in this just is so stupid. Oops, I did it again. Like, no, that was
Chucky
should
dumb. Know that reference.
Yeah, like it's so bad. This is also it happens a couple of times in this series, and it's doing it again in the TV show. It sets up massive amounts of confusion as to who is who at what time.
Right.
Again, well, not really spoiler or whatever, but by the end of this movie, Tiffany is in Jennifer Tilly's body. So Jennifer Tilly is the real Jennifer Tilly, but she's possessed by Tiffany, who used to look like Jennifer Tilly. Like,
right.
This makes no sense at all. Like, that is like, I don't know if they're trying to go for some kind of meta humor or anything, but I'm lost on it. I don't
ending
get
is
why
very
they did
confusing.
That. Yeah, I don't get why they did that. Especially like, and yeah, the ending with this with both Glenn and Glenda, and then the rest of the series, Glenn and Glenda completely out the window, like Glenn, like they don't exist. So I don't know exactly what's going on. I know we are getting Glenn and Glenda back for season 2 of the Chucky show, so hopefully we'll find out, and that may clean up some of the mess that this movie made. I do like the mention. So the mentioning in the first season of Chucky, where Chucky is talking about he has a kid that is what do you call him, like gender fluid or something like that, I think is what you refer to him.
Gender fluid is the term that would probably best describe him. Yeah.
So I mean, I love that. That was awesome. The fact that Chucky even recognized that, and then went so
Chucky's
far
an
as saying,
icon. Like, Chucky's an ally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Chucky's like, my child's gender fluid. Thanks.
If you know Don Mancini's gay, so yeah, it's definitely a part of him, and it's a part of something that he wants to put into his movies, and I feel like it works very well in these movies.
Yeah.
The Chucky series is probably like one of the biggest like LGBTQ horror icons, or at least like one of the biggest horror franchises for LGBTQ.
It's like Babadook, Chucky.
Yeah. And then a whole bunch of other ones that most people have never heard of because they're all like little indie undergrounds.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Jennifer's Body. Yeah.
I mean, I would say Stranger Things has got a chance to go down that road.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't
very possible.
It's been hinted at.
So kind of like the confusion over Jennifer Tilly being Tiffany in this, the other confusion is the fact that the dolls in this aren't actually dolls. They were animatronics on a movie set about the movie that they just made. Yeah. Like, right. I get trying to do the meta stuff. It's like what Scream did with the Stab movies. Scream 3
in a Christmas movie.
Yeah, people were dying on the set of Stab that was supposed to be a Scream movie. Oh yeah, you want to go even further with this? Was it Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where he goes to the movie theater and the movie playing in the movie theater is Silent Night, Deadly Night 1? Like, it's so weird. Like, it's too meta, and that's I think that's my problem with this. Is it crosses way too much into just the absurd, and other than like even the family dynamics of this, it's so strange.
And,
This,
and you said it best for the confusion of who the characters are for Glenn and Glenda. If you look at the trailer for Chucky season 2, they have no idea who, like the fact that Tiffany was a killer or anything, and yet they killed people in the end of this movie.
mm-hmm.
They killed somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is gonna be my first F. Like,
wow.
I'll
Wow.
watch. I'll watch this, especially if I want to do a rewatch of the whole series, which I will do a lot. I will watch this again. It's not my favorite though. This is definitely like the movie I'm throwing on, and I'm gonna play a video game or do something else entirely while it's playing in the background, type of thing. But yeah, this is my F. So we got C, B, and F.
That would be a D tier film.
That would be.
I don't know,
Like a
low
low
C or
C.
high D, whichever
That
one.
would be
you
a
wanna do.
high D or low C. Since most of the tiers are only going to have one in it, I would be more inclined to probably put it as a low C right now, and then be open to that changing later on.
Okay.
Yes, I will go ahead and also say that I understand we're probably going on and on describing these movies. That's because there's only 8 of them.
Mhm.
We're still like, we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 3 movies left, and we've been doing this for 46 minutes so far. So I think
Yeah.
we're fine. We're making good on time here.
Mhm.
So I will put that in. Next one. So we're gonna start with Torie on this. This is gonna be interesting because, well, reasons.
Yeah.
Curse of Chucky, the first Chucky movie that went straight to video, and it absolutely should not have done that.
So I don't mind this one. It doesn't do a ton for me. It's like very average for me. I like some of the aspects of it, like the character design of Chucky. I'm not as much of a fan of, and we'll get into the 2019 version that I'm just like, I just feel like his design is really important because it's like, if it's too clunky, like I feel like in even the very first one, it's not scary for me. And then if it's too, it's like a fine line. And I feel like the design for this one loses it a bit for me. I didn't really find this one scary in any way. Like, even like I said, like in the first one, even with the humor and like Bride or whatever, there's still moments of like horror that I feel like I get. I don't really feel it as much in this one. It's just like compared to the others, this is like a very hard C for me. I don't have like, I feel like I don't have like a ton of opinions on it. It just like, it's there. There's ones I don't like more. There's ones I like a lot more. I just wasn't offended by it. I just feel like after Seed of Chucky, it was like a very, like, what year was this one?
2013.
Yeah.
So it was like a significant while after Seed of Chucky. It just like compared to what I liked about Bride and Seed of Chucky, it just lost a lot of those. So yeah, for me, it's like a low C compared to what we have right now. A C basically is where I put it.
Okay. So this one, make sure my ranking here is following. Okay, yeah. So this one, I like this because this is kind of a return to form.
Mhm.
This, I feel like this is back to a scary Chucky. He's not really quipping that much, or if he says a quip, it's a more meaningful quip. He's not just quipping like the "oops, I did it again." No, he's actually saying stuff that's meaningful, intimidating, scary. Like when he's with what's the little girl, Alice? I think.
Alice.
Yeah, he's with her and she's like, "I'm scared, Chucky." And he's like, "You fucking should be." Like that was great. Like that look, just that moment. I will agree with Torie. The look of the doll, up until this movie, the look of the Chucky doll has been pretty consistent, other than like a few minor changes, like between the first and second Child's Play, he got a lot more freckles. And then, of course, there's also after Child's Play 3, he got half his face sliced off, so there's all the stitching. I thought the stitching looked good. That was fantastic. This one, took a really weird direction in the style of the doll. His hair's longer. It's more like kind of like the picture here. It comes out of his head and just nicely hugs that shape of his head, when before it was just kind of like all over the place, like me first thing in the morning. So like the fact that they changed the look of it, that was a little weird and a little jarring. I do like that they've increased their puppetry. The facial expressions are a lot more expressive here. And of course, some of it's probably CGI, but I know a lot of it from watching behind the scenes and the kill counts on dead meat and stuff. I know that a lot of it is the puppets and the way that they did it. Otherwise, some of the jokes in this movie that they do, the red herring scene of all of them eating the soup or whatever, that one of them may have rat poisoning in. Well, I feel like it was very well shot. The fact that like we got Alice like, this tastes funny, and then the dude is like, oh my god, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like we went around the table and every single one of them just happens to be saying something that could be a red herring, like, oh, I got the tainted one. Like that was a little forced.
Mm-hmm.
The twist of you think that he's cheating on his wife with like the nanny or whatever, and then it's actually the wife with the nanny. That was cool. I like that. That was a nice like little story beat in there.
Mm-hmm.
Made that pretty interesting. But yeah, otherwise I like the dark noir of this movie. I love Nika. Nika was a great character in this.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's just driven completely insane by the end of this movie.
Yeah, what a tragic character. I mean, we'll talk about it more in Cult of Chucky, but
yeah. But yeah, I love her character in this. I love the fact that it's Fiona Dorff, Brad Dourif's daughter. So going back to like everything in Chucky is very familial. You've got like that father-daughter working on this. There's another one in here too somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it was. Oh, in the Chucky TV show, there's a mother and daughter in that as well. But yeah, like it's really cool seeing like this return to form away from the meta humor of Bride and Seed. So that being said, I'd put this as a B. Vernon.
You know, I'll start off with this. I enjoy the movie. Jeremy Miller says technology advances over the years. I think that's kind of like what his comment said.
Yeah.
It does, but it didn't have to with Chucky. I mean, the doll worked 20 years ago. It could have worked in this film. It was just too much for his first appearance back. Yeah, Fiona Dorff was my big addition to this movie. I love her. I mean, aside from this movie, but she plays her dad really well. I'll give her that.
So weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but she can be her dad. It's insane. But the movie itself, fun, good, nice to see Chucky back in film, but not a lot to say about it. So I go with B on this one.
I feel like we're all pretty like in the middle there.
It's not good, it's not bad. So, but it had some good elements to it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it in B because we got 2 B's and a C.
I think Fiona Dorff drove the film more than anything.
Do want to touch upon real quick before we leave talking about this movie, that ending scene, that post-credit scene on this was like chef's kiss, where Chucky gets himself mailed to the adult Andy Barclay, again played by Alex Vincent. That was just such a good shot. Especially when he pops out of the box and he's got the shotgun, and like the last second of the movie is Andy, and then you hear like the gunfire as the screen cuts to black. That was so good. Which
brings us up to Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, let's talk about Cult of Chucky. Is that me starting this one?
I believe so.
So again, we got weird looking Chucky, but now we've got weird looking Chuckies. I don't even think like most of the look of Chucky in this movie wasn't even the same as Chucky in the previous movie.
Right.
Yeah.
They changed the aesthetic of how he looks again, which kind of like what Vernon said. Honestly, after Seed of Chucky, they didn't need to change anything.
Mhm.
Just keep him looking like that. I mean,
And the TV show proves that because we reverted back to that Chucky in the TV show.
sort of in some cases.
They
Yeah.
cleaned it up a little bit, but it's still the original Chucky model.
This one goes back to again that whole meta. Well, this one's not really meta as much as it is just confusing because now we're really adding in the whole body possession thing to Chucky's voodoo abilities. That now he can like split his soul in between multiple bodies, and they are all different Chuckies and whatnot.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. So that was starting to get confusing because I don't know why. Why can he do this all of a sudden? And again, going back to what we were saying, Don Mancini originally wanted multiple Chuckies for Child's Play 3, and now he finally gets multiple Chuckies. I get it. It's just a way for him to be able to achieve that story, but it's just kind of weird. Like the reasoning to get there, I feel like was a little bit confusing, especially like by the end of this movie, we do have Tiffany back again. And there's also the Tiffany doll in the back seat.
Yeah.
I was like,
Tiffany's
so
soul is now split.
Tiffany can do this too? Like, all right. So wait, is that Tiffany, but this one's still Jennifer Tilly? Are we going back to Seed of Chucky? And oh yeah, that's right. Because when she brought the doll to the clinic at the beginning, she was referred to as Jennifer Tilly, being like Alice's caregiver or something like that. Super confusing. Just everything, basically everything regarding Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly being Tiffany, that's all so super confusing. I think the TV show kind of helped try to fix it up, and I feel like they're ruining it again at the beginning of the second season, which we could maybe talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, other than that, like this one, it's a ton of new characters. It's a weird location. Everything is squeaky clean white. Which is a stark contrast to the movie before it, which everything was dark and like sinister looking. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of this movie, I feel like some of the jokes fall flat. There's a couple of good ones. I've never felt more alive. You've been alive for 2 minutes. Calm your ass down. That was funny. But otherwise, yeah, I'm glad we got Andy back in this. I love the whole idea that he put a gun in a Chucky, assuming that this Chucky was going to come alive. I love that idea, that story beat. Him with the Chucky head at the beginning, that they're just like pals and they hang out. I thought that was actually kind of cool. Like, well, you can't hurt me. I got no one else to talk to. I can't get a date because everyone's Googling me. So, that was pretty funny. And then, of course, this one ends with another post-credit scene with Kyle coming back, which I thought that was funny as well, because Chucky's like, Kyle, you're here too.
Yeah.
That being said, because of the whole like confusion and the weird setting of this, what did I have this? I had this one as... So I have this one as a D. Vernon.
Okay, so yeah, nice to have Andy back. Nice to have Kyle back in a post-credit scene. Fiona Dorff is fun, but the movie is, I would say, cringeworthy. There are spots in this movie that don't make me comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that mental illness is a thing, but the fact that you take Chucky going breastfeeding, but also damn near biting off the nipple of a woman doing so, I mean, the scene doesn't make sense to me. the whole relationship between Nika and the doctor, cringeworthy. Granted, he gets what he deserves in the end, but
very well too.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But this is not it for me. Probably my worst favorite in the franchise altogether. This one goes straight to F. I have no good things to say about this movie.
Torie.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Vernon said. I have this rule in horror movies, and I realized I had this rule when I watched The Human Centipede. Have either of you seen that?
I've seen the first two.
Seen the Centipede, yes.
Cinematic.
I've seen the first two, and I've tried making it through the third one. Just that movie's terrible.
I didn't know there was a third one.
There is. It's
the problem I have that movie encapsulates really well. For me, with a horror movie, when people are being killed a lot, I need to have a little hope that the person's going to get out, right? Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm hoping so she's going to run away and be able to tell what happened and heal, right? And be okay. And that keeps it like scary because you keep being like, is she going to get out? Oh my God, is she not? Is she not? Is she not? Is she going to get out? Is he okay? Is she okay? And it keeps you like emotionally invested, I think, for me, when I have that little hope. Human Centipede, I lose hope for them like as soon as they're sutured together. I'm like, even if you got out, like your kneecaps are busted, your teeth are gone. I don't know how you'd go to therapy for being a human centipede. Like you're done. Like even if you escape, like there's no healing from that. You know what I mean? So
you're spending the rest of your life realizing you were ass to mouth with a complete stranger.
Yes, like there's no hope for me.
Some people pay extra for that cotton.
They do. And this one, Nika like falls into that category. Like the whole time I'm just like, when she tries, this is like, we're like talking about suicide. Like when she tries to, I'm like, yeah, like this doctor's horrible. What is she gonna do? Like, what can she do? And the answer is murky. And it's like, so that doesn't really make me feel any scared. It makes me feel sad. And then it's like, we're transitioning from horror into more of like,
reality.
Sad. Yeah. And even movies like Midsommar, where, it's on this slope and you lose hope and you fall into this weird place. I still feel a sense of like hope throughout of like, what's going to happen? Are they going to get out? Like this, it's just like, I just want the doctor dead. Like the audacity of that doctor, the audacity of that man. It was just, it got away from Chucky for me and more towards something else that I didn't like. And she doesn't have a good ending. Like Nika doesn't have a moment of like,
she gets possessed by Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, like being the final girl. She doesn't have that moment that like, at least in other horror movies, being the final girl means something.
She gets possessed by her own father in the universe.
Yeah. Like, Texas Chainsaw, the girl, forgive me, I forget her name. She goes through a lot. She gets to be the final girl. She gets to get out.
Sally.
Like, so, yeah, she gets to tell her story. She gets to talk about what happened. And this, it's like, Nika just gets fucked, I guess. I don't know. Not really great. So for me,
go ahead.
This is an F. Yeah.
She makes it out, but she gets possessed, and so she's no longer Nika. The TV show kind of, sort of, was starting to help fix that, and then fucked her away again.
From limb to limb. There's no happy ending for Nika.
No.
None. Not even in the show.
No.
But she's having fun playing that character.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she's having a blast. So that's a D and 2 Fs. I'm completely okay with this just going to F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do y'all agree with me when you talk about horror with that hope feeling? Like y'all relate to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's a lot of the reason why there is a final girl trope.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, especially when like horror movies, like especially like the slasher genre, when it first really started becoming popular, say like the mid 70s, Black Christmas, maybe a couple of movies before that, but after Black Christmas on into like the 80s. Probably some movies that we'll talk about next week. Stay tuned. a lot of these, I feel like they were playing up the idea at the time. Please keep in mind, I'm saying this as this was the mentality at the time, that women were weaker. So therefore, we're gonna make them be the final. And yeah, that's why they make them the final girl. Like, well, this is already the weaker of the sex, so they already have no hope. But I'm just gonna still root for them because they're the last one standing. If it was a guy, that guy would be kicking all kinds of ass. But nope, the woman can't do that.
Even Andy in this, he should have been more prepared, and he gets sliced up as soon as he gets in the mental asylum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're done, Andy. You suck. He's a little bit better in the show, but yeah.
I agree with you, Robert, and I also think the final girl is that element of hope of playing with people wouldn't think the pretty girl would make it, right? But it's the shock of like she does is what they were, I think, what they were playing with, especially in the 80s. Because they usually involved, like a sex scene or something with a hot girl, and it was usually like a girl different from that girl. It was usually like the plain Jane or like more of like the intelligent girl, or like, I say that again is like not agreeing with it, but I think it was playing with the idea of like this plain Jane girl is somehow a little smart or something, and she's able to get her way out of it, which like exceeds expectations of what people think.
Well, because that was that was back in the day. Like, if you have sex, if you show your titties on camera, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like that was the mentality of those movies. Yeah. And that's why the whole, like, as long as you stay a virgin, you stay alive. That's where that came from. So
yeah, to bring it back to Chucky, I was like, the fact of losing the hope, I didn't feel hope throughout this. So even if Nika escaped, I was like, she was like hypnotized and mentally manipulated. Like, what does she do? Go to another mental hospital?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that one's going to stay in F.
Where it deserves to be.
Yeah. So we're a little over an hour into the show. Oh, real quick, I did like Jeremy Miller's comment here. Andy's acting did get better from Child's Play 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good joke right there. It's a real good joke. Jared Simpson, your boy lives in old school horror movies. Well, then you're gonna like the Marquee next week.
I love old school horror movies. When we're talking about the final girl stuff, it's just something I think about of like what they were doing. Yeah.
So we're an hour and 8 minutes into this, and we're down to the final movie. This isn't going to be like a 3 hour long Marquee. We're down to the final one, and this is going to be one that is going to we'll probably have some pretty good discussions with this one. So the thing I like about this, before we dive into the thoughts of the actual movie itself, is the story behind it. How did this movie get made? Because we're still, like, even though, like, we don't like Cult of Chucky does have a, what do you call it? A cult following.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People do like it. It does rank. I think it ranks pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes, whatnot. So, I mean, it is a beloved Chucky movie, but there was the possibility of another sequel coming out and or plans for this TV show. And then this movie pops up, the 2019 remake reboot. The story of how this came along and basically the entire Chucky franchise is super interesting. I want to condense it real quick because I don't need to go to all the business details of it. The original Child's Play, this one, the 1988, was originally written, like I said, created by Don Mancini. Everyone's pointing all over.
I'm like, where is it?
It was created by Don Mancini. The producer of that movie, David Kirshner, was like one of like the big spearheads for it. Tom Holland was brought in to direct it because Mancini he was still like a film school student at the time. So they brought in Tom
really
Holland.
That young?
Yeah. Tom Holland took over and made a lot of changes to it. Like the spirit of what Don Mancini was still there, but otherwise, the first Child's Play movie made a ton of money for MGM United Artists. And then they were planning on making a second one.
Hello, Universal.
Yeah. Well, so how it got to Universal is what's interesting. So MGM United Artists decided that they want to make a second Child's Play. They start getting everything ready and set for that. And then all of a sudden, there's this like venture capitalist guy that owns like some kind of entertainment business in Australia. And he wants to buy MGM United Artists. So because of that, he doesn't like horror movies. He doesn't want to produce horror movies. So before they were able to sell off MGM UA to him, they went to David Kirshner, the producer, and said, hey, this guy's about to buy us. He doesn't want to make horror movies. We're not going to continue with the Child's Play series. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give the rights to the Child's Play franchise back to you for free. You're free to go take the Child's Play franchise to some other studio or whatnot. They retained the first Child's Play movie, though. So MGM UA owned the 1988 Child's Play. David Kirshner and Don Mancini shot Child's Play around. David Kirshner happened to be friends with Steven Spielberg because they worked together on An American Tail.
That's a good friend to have.
Definitely. So Spielberg told him, hey, go shop it over to my friends at Universal, because Universal was really good friends with Amblin Entertainment at that time. So he said, go shop it to Universal. Universal picked it up, and Universal is the one who's been producing the Chucky movies like from then on. Notice that's also how we got Chucky in Ready Player One. Mm-hmm. That was directed by Steven Spielberg. That was kind of like David Kirshner going, you know what? You helped save the Child's Play franchise. Feel free to stick Chucky in your Ready Player One movie.
And it made it hard for people that like to collect box sets, because up until about, I guess it was a year or 2 years ago, you could never get all the Child's Play movies in a box set together because of Universal not wanting the original Child's Play in there.
And MGM probably didn't want to be in a box set with Universal as well.
I'm pretty sure that this is one of the only few box sets that you can get the original with all the other films.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's what happened is MGM. Oh, by the way, that MGM selling to the Australian venture capitalists never happened. The deal fell through. So they ended up not selling the company, and they lost the Chucky rights. Oops. So later on, when all these other horror movies are going through like a reboot renaissance, there was the 2009 Friday the 13th, the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street. All these other horror movies are starting to reboot themselves.
Did you know, sorry to interrupt you, Robert, sorry. Yeah. Did you know that the first boobs I ever saw were in Friday the 13th, 2009?
Interesting.
Which are not a good first pair of boobs to see, because they're fantastic and unrealistic. If you know what I'm talking about.
Was it Willa Ford when she gets like lifted up out of the water?
No, it's like there's a scene where like she's teasing her boyfriend and the nerdy guy's there, and then like the nerdy guy walks off.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets murdered, I think. Yeah. I was like whatever year old, and I was like, oh, that's what boobs are supposed to look like. No.
The nerdy, the boyfriend was what's his face from Superstore, the TV show Superstore.
Yeah.
Anyways, beside the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so MGM's like, hey, let's hop on this remake train, and so they wanted to remake Child's Play. Essentially, I guess I'll start this off. My problem with this movie is this isn't a Child's Play movie.
Mm-hmm.
This, I would actually say, this is closer to a Terminator movie than it is Child's Play. The whole idea of this movie is that all of our smart gadgets and everything are able to be sentient or have their own AI that controls them. It just so happens to be in the body of a doll that looks a lot like Chucky, the Child's Play. They just named all the other characters Andy and was it the cop that lives next door, Chris Sarandon's character. They all have just so happen to have the same name, but otherwise you could remove anything related to Child's Play from this movie, and it's a good movie. Completely, the idea of like this doll controls your smart devices. It's a really good movie. It's a great idea. It's not Child's Play. It doesn't need to be Child's Play.
Mm-hmm.
They just slap Child's Play on there for brand recognition. So it's a decent movie. I'm not a fan of it being a Child's Play movie. I will watch it again and again because it is interesting, but it's not one. If I'm doing an entire Child's Play rewatch, I'm not rewatching this one in line with. I don't feel like I need to watch this to feel whole in my Child's Play rewatch. So that being said, I think this is my other F. So
yeah,
Vernon.
You said a lot. Take away the bottom fourth of that picture right there. Put anything else in its place, and you've got a to B tier movie.
Take away the word Child's Play.
Yeah, you've got Mark Hamill, for crying out loud, as the voice of Chucky.
Fantastic. You got Aubrey Plaza.
And you got Aubrey Plaza. The movie itself, not bad at all. I like the movie. I could watch this movie any day of the week. I could watch it more than I could Cult of Chucky. But we are ranking Child's Play films. And you referenced it to a Terminator movie. I would almost reference it to a Avengers Age of Ultron movie, because Chucky has a presence on the net.
Yeah.
As they like to say. And it could easily have a sequel because he is in the internet. And they even, if you go back and watch Child's Play 3, there is a scene that's similar in Child's Play 3 that almost makes you think that Chucky has the ability to control other toys, because in the office scene where the guy gets strangled, there's a lot of toys in there. There's no way Chucky's setting all those off. He's controlling those in another fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those were all toys he probably like wound up and then just.
You say that, but they all focus on the executive that's there. It's almost too much.
Yeah.
I give this a C because it's not a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
It just never needed to be called Child's Play, but because it is Child's Play, I give it a C. I actually enjoyed going to the theater and watching it. More so than more so than Nightmare on Elm Street remake, because I threw my popcorn at that and walked out.
Yeah, I think I've seen that like once, maybe 1.5 times or so. I can't sit through that movie again.
That was the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie I saw.
The remake?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I understand that this was made for a new generation, and it was fun. And Mark Hamill, I am your buddy.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to have that stuck in my head for the whole night. Thanks.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how ridiculous that all looks? I love Mark Hamill. It has nothing to do with what it looks like. But I'm Googling photos right now. I was going to send Robert one to pull up. Like, I can't even describe. It looks like I don't even know. It looks ridiculous. Like if Child's Play, the 1988 version, is like a Big Mac, this is like a weird burger that like someone made at like a sketchy like fair that you visited along a road in the middle of nowhere, and you're not really sure what the meat is. But it's like, this is a Big Mac.
This is the burger that the people who work at McDonald's would make on their own with all the ingredients they have access to.
Yes. And they're like, this is a Big Mac. And you're like, I don't think so.
I say that from personal experience working at McDonald's in high school. Yeah, I did that all the time.
You're like, better example. This is like a burger made at some other restaurant, some other place. They like try to follow the recipe, but it's like not the same thing at all. And they're like, oh no, this is a Big Mac. This is our Big Mac. And you're like, this is not it. But you could have called it something else. It would have been better.
Mark Hamill sold this movie more in interviews than he did The Force Awakens.
That's because he was in The Force Awakens for like 2 seconds, and he got paid like $5 million for a movie he didn't even say a word in. He just like stared at the camera and threw the lightsaber, and that was it. So yeah.
There's interviews out there where he shit on Force Awakens. He didn't shit on this movie.
I mean, I understand that. I want to say, if I remember correctly, Mark Hamill was friends with Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
like way back when.
Mhm.
So
I'm sure this was fun to voice act.
oh yeah, it looked like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
But
Say you were Chucky.
what are you ranking this, Torie?
What else was I gonna say? But have y'all seen Smart House?
Mm-mm.
Wow, uncultured. I think it was made by Disney. It's like one of those 1999 TV movies. Yeah, it was on Disney. My generation grew up with it. If anyone knows Smart House in the comments, shout out. Smart House was a movie. I think it's like the teenage son programs their house to be their mom, so their dad will stop dating women because their mom died, I think. And this whole thing is the smart gadgets, like the house starts to become self-aware and like not want to turn off and like start to take over things. So it starts to like have the gadgets be controlled and like all of that. That was better than this. I just like, I get horror movies now are like put in a place where either they acknowledge technology or they don't. And I agree that if this wasn't a Child's Play movie and it was just about a doll that took over smart devices, it'd be fine. But like, I don't find it as interesting. Yeah, Smart House. Chris knows Smart House. Yeah, like it's just, it had already been done for me, and I think it was less about Chucky and more about like seeing what they could do with the devices and stuff. And to me, if you're going to incorporate new technology into a horror movie, it has to be about like the horror first. Like, I think about the newer Blair Witch Project movie. They have like at one point a drone go up in the woods and shoot to try and figure out where they are, and the drone becomes like a part of jump scares. And I thought it was really cool because the movie was still mainly about the Blair Witch, and it was just the technology was like thrown in there to add new scares and elements to it. This felt like the opposite, where Chucky was like an afterthought, and then this was like a movie plot that they wanted to do, and they just happened to be able to do it with Chucky. If that makes sense. So for me, this was an F tier as well when it comes to this franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out Smart House. Go watch Smart House. Anyway.
I'm kind of curious about this whole like drone doing jump scares. Like people would like turn around and all of a sudden a drone's right behind them, like hovering in the air. Have y'all heard drones? Those things are loud.
Yes, they sound like bees, like wasps.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of flim flam.
Yeah, like I don't know how that's sneaking up. How a drone is sneaking up on anyone.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 Fs and a C. So either low D or high F.
High F.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give it high F because, yeah.
We're gonna put it above Cult of Chucky.
Yes.
I'm actually okay with that.
Cult of Chucky does not even deserve to be on a chart.
Fuck the doctor. What's the doctor's name? Foley?
Michael Terrot.
Like Dr. Foley.
Terrot.
Is that his name?
Yeah. So he's also in the Chucky series.
Ugh, fuck him.
Well, not the same character.
Oh, the actor.
The actor plays a different character in that show. So, anyways, I will say the last thing about the 2019. There's one line I do like in the movie that I thought was actually pretty funny that I chuckled at, is when Andy's new friends meet his mom, and the guy friend is all like, "Dude, your sister's hot." And he's like, "That's my mom.
Sister, that's my mom."
He's like, "That's my mom." He's like, "Dude, even hotter."
Yeah.
Like right as the mom is standing right there. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
My favorite one is the line and when he runs the guy over with the lawnmower. This is for Tupac.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. So
just Mark Hamill saying that is fucking great.
Yeah.
The movie's not bad. It's just not a Child's Play movie.
Right. It's a fun
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Child's Play movie.
Anyways, so we've come to that magical time, 3 hours later, only an hour and a half, where we get to make a final decision. Is this where we want everything? Are we happy with where everything is at right now? Those of y'all watching in the chat, if y'all want to throw your opinions in, Streamlabs.com. Again, all proceeds go to Torie.
I'll tell you, before getting away from Child's Play,
Mhm.
the marketing for that movie was insane.
The remake.
Yes. Like I have screenshots of the marketing still on my phone from where they had like Slinky Dog all tore up.
Oh yeah. That's
I
right.
remember that. Yeah.
All the stuff they did against Toy Story and all these other
Well,
franchises.
because the kid was named Andy in
Right.
that also. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun marketing. But I'm pretty good with where everything's at. Bride, I mean, I could swing it either way. It could be a low S. It revolutionized the franchise. So,
I mean, I could kind of see that. It is a fun, enjoyable movie. They did the meta comedy in it like pretty well.
yeah.
That was one we had like what two A's and an S.
2 A's and
Bride.
an S.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had it as S.
And we had it as A's. I could,
I mean, I could see that.
because I even said if I had another S tier slot, I would easily put it in S.
Yeah, you just didn't because your list was already made.
Yeah, I had Child's Play 1 and 2 at S.
Okay,
Slide
So-
it up there.
I could see bumping it up.
Can I ask y'all a question while I'm kind of tipsy before we go?
Woohoo! It is tipsy question time with Torie.
What does the title Child's Play have to do with the movie? Because Child's
Um,
Play, the phrase, I just Googled to make sure I was right. It's just saying, like, it's a simple task. Like, oh, doing that is Child's Play. Like, a child could do it. It's so simple.
So, from my understanding, they went with that title just pretty much for that reason. It was just a simple title. I forgot what the other alternative titles were. Like
Yeah, and they
Night of the
weren't-
Doll or something like that.
They
Just-
weren't going to work. I think some of them weren't going to work internationally. Some of the titles that they had for some reason.
And if I remember correctly, I want to say it was after Tom Holland, the director, not Spider-Man, signed on. That's when the title was changed to Child's Play.
Interesting.
The one that I always liked, they're like, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was like the 80s, either late 70s or like early to mid 80s. There was, I want to say it's like a TV show that did like hour-long movies, basically. There was a movie for this show called Child's Play. It involved a family living like a decent like middle-class family, Reagan era aesthetics, nice house, but they wake up one day to find that they're blocked in their house. If they open a window or a door, there's walls there, so they can't get out of this house. And then to make matters worse, at one point there's this dark brown ooze that's coming out through the fireplace, and this family is like freaking out. They don't know what's going on. Spoiler alert, jump to the end. Come to find out, this family is actually a family of dolls, like little doll action figures. They're living in a doll house.
Oh, wow.
And the girl that owned, the actual real girl that owns this dollhouse and family, put the dollhouse back like in a closet. So there's the walls of the closet like on all sides. The dark brown ooze was her little brother eating a chocolate bar while standing over the dollhouse, and parts of the chocolate bar melted off and dripped down into the house. Like, that was cool.
Yeah.
I remember
sounds like a
seeing
Twilight
that as
Zone
a kid.
episode.
Yeah, that was cool. But that was at the same time where I was aware that it was called Child's Play, and I was already familiar with movies called these horror movies Child's Play, and I'm like, these don't make sense. These aren't connected. So
Yeah.
Can we just say Night of the Living Dummy was a better reboot than
the book.
Yeah.
The first book, Night of the Living Dummy. For those of you we might not know what we're referencing, we're talking about Goosebumps, written by R.L. Stein.
Flawless.
The first,
Oh, wait, can I do that?
yeah, well,
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah. The TV show
Reader
didn't.
beware.
Yeah,
You're
the
in for
TV
a
show
scare.
of episode of Night of the Living Dummy did not follow the book exactly.
No, it
the
didn't.
book was way better, and the book was
Yeah.
way darker. It was a lot more sinister. I think there was a part in that where the kid had the doll like on a stage, like a talent show, kind of like what they did at the beginning of the first season of Chucky. And the doll just opens its mouth and just vomits like this acid, putrid stuff like all over the stage. I'm like, that's creepy as hell. And this is a kid.
Goosebumps is good.
Yeah, the
There's some
Goosebumps
episodes that are
good.
creepy. Yeah.
I just watched the one where the parents are vampires and the creepy librarian was the monster. Oh my god, it's so disturbing. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's where this is going to end. So we are happy with the placement. I will post this up on social media tomorrow so everyone else can get their opinions. Here's the thing. I'm actually willing to bet. I'd bet money on this one. I think most people are probably going to be happy with where everything is on here.
Yeah.
At most, I could probably see people maybe wanting to argue Seed of Chucky a little lower, but I think everyone's going to be primarily happy with the first Child's Play and Bride of Chucky being S tier. I think that covers like a wide gamut of the common opinions of those movies. So
Yeah.
we might not have like any kind of like shitstorm going on from this results. So pretty interesting on that. That being said, let's go back to our starting positions. Where is Carl to bring everything back out? Carl, hit it.
That is so much.
What's really funny is when your mouse stops working in the middle of that and you're like, I got to move everything around real quick. So by the time Carl disappears, we're all looking very professional here. So
yeah, Vernon and I just get to sit back and chill.
Yeah, I'm the one frantically moving everything around. So, so the one where the friends or the parents are vampires is the weirdest Friends episode. It's great. Play it again, Sam.
Can you hear that?
Yes. So that is it for our ranking of this. Next week, we're going to have a really fun episode. I love the Child's Play movies. These, like my heart and soul of horror movies. I love Child's Play. I will talk about these movies all day long if I could. Next week is going to be something that I feel like I've just only, like, I've been aware of it, but I didn't know exactly what direction to go. And luckily I've gotten more directions thanks to people and TV shows and just word of mouth. I have a better understanding of this genre of horror. Next week, we will be tier ranking 18 cult indie horror movies from the 80s. These are going to be like horror movies you may have heard of. I'm actually expecting for a very general amount of people watching. There may be a lot of these that you've never heard of. So if you are wanting to dive into 80s horror, this is going to be a good place to start to get some recommendations, because this is going to be next weekend, same time, same channel, next week. The Marquee 80s cult horror special guests on that one are going to be Torie again.
Boom, boom, boom.
And we will be joined by Lego, because, I mean, you can't talk about 80s horror movies without Lego popping up in the chat at some point somewhere. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she's here like any second now. But yeah, we're going to be covering some really in-depth indie horror. I think, like, even looking at this thumbnail, probably the most popular one on here is probably Reanimator.
Yeah.
So that's going to be next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am so looking forward to that, because there's some pretty good indies in there.
Yeah.
Some of these I had to watch for the first time for this Marquee. So,
and this will be the first time Lego and I actually like talk outside of Twitter comments. So that's in itself worthwhile to show up.
That's going to be a good time. You two should be like besties easily.
Yeah. So it'll be good.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the episode tonight. Torie, where can people find you?
Torie X Rose, Twitter, Instagram. I think I'm going to stream tomorrow on Twitch, Torie X Rose. The spelling is right, on the screen there, Torie X Rose. And like Robert is saying about the donations,
I got it. Yes.
I have last week I went through something, basically what I said on Twitter, traumatic. I don't want to go into anything more than that just because of personal reasons. But I have to go to a lot of doctor's appointments to heal from it. And it's very expensive and I don't have health insurance. And unfortunately the healthcare system sucks. So anything you have, anything you want to donate, you can look up on my Twitter. I have a pinned post with like my Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. They're also, Robert mentioned, on this channel during the Marquee next week, we will be accepting donations as well. And anything is appreciated. And if you can't, I totally understand. I couldn't donate right now for something like that. If someone else was going through something, which sucks. But anything helps, literally. So yeah, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I should be streaming tomorrow if you want to come check that out. I think I'm doing Spyro the Dragon, the original 3 games, the Reignited trilogy. So
interesting. I haven't seen that like forever.
It's so good. It's so nostalgic for me. So
nice. Vernon, what would you like to plug, sir?
I'd like to plug that I can't plug anything because I don't have anything to plug. I am going to close out with saying, Robert, thank you for having me on the Marquees. It has always been a blessing to share the screen with you. And this is, I believe, unless I have other commitments out there I was not aware of, my absolute last video that I will be participating in. So I appreciate you and your brother and always making the Cinefanatics a fun and safe place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming by, hanging out, giving your opinions on stuff. So very much appreciate what you brought to this community. And hopefully you'll still be around in the Cinefanatics community anyway. So yeah, we'll still see you. Anyways, that's going to do it for tonight. Again, thank y'all for watching. We will see you again next week for the 80s cult horror movies. That's going to be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to that. So yeah. Otherwise, thank y'all in the chat for watching. Thank you for being here live. We hope to see you again. Let me see. What else? Is there anything I want to plug for Cinefanatics? Tomorrow night, I'm going to go see Terrifier 2. So if y'all are familiar with the Terrifier movies and you want to hear my thoughts, I'll probably post them up on Twitter or something after the movie's done. It's going to be a brutal horror movie, and I am eager for it, which sounds weird, but whatever. Otherwise, yeah.
We all need a brutal horror movie.
Sometimes, yeah. Although I just watched the Hellraiser last night, so I mean,
yeah,
just more brutal horror movies, I guess. Next week, join us for the tagline. That is Wednesday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, and yeah, and then Marquee, same time and channel next Friday. So yeah. Oh, one other thing too. We will be doing another Marquee at the end of this month. I believe that is going to be on the 28th, October 28th. That'll be another Marquee. That one I'll go ahead and say is we're going to be tier ranking Stephen King movies. It's going to be, so real quick, the rules on that was sort of the rules. It's Stephen King theatrical movies, so none of his TV miniseries, which I mean, I understand that means we're cutting out It, Tommy Knockers, The Stand.
The list could never end if we'd included
Langoliers,
those, so.
yeah. Well, I mean, this was a huge list just to begin with, and I narrowed it down to 18. These are 18 movies, movies that he wrote for, so no unwritten Stephen King sequels, so no Rage, Carrie 2 or Pet Sematary 2. They won't be on there. Mm-hmm. I think the only sequels I have planned on there are like It Chapter 2 and Dr. Sleep, I think are the only ones that are on there.
Was Cat's Eyes theatrically released?
So Cat's Eyes is a anthology that he just wrote like one story for. So it's not on there. Okay. I ruled it out because of that.
Favorite Stephen King movie?
Yeah. I need to watch that one, actually, though. I do like anthology movies. So that will be at the end of this month. I think next week we'll announce who the guests are on there. I'm pretty sure you may see some familiar faces from this one tonight on that one also. Don't know
Not
who.
Me.
I've never
that narrows
heard
that
of
down.
Stephen King in my whole life.
Anyways, so that's going to do it for tonight. Make sure you follow us at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me at Robert Adams Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can follow my brothers, Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and let him know that he needs to watch horror movies. You can actually bug him on his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP when he's streaming live video games. Tell him, recommend some horror movies for him, because he's not going to listen to me.
That's never going to happen.
I know. I'm surprised I got him to watch a couple recently. So
I'm surprised you got him to watch Aliens.
I'm surprised you got him to watch The Thing.
The Thing, yeah, that one.
He was like, "Oh, there was like one bad part." I was like, "Chris, at the top of my head, there's like 4 bad parts that I can think of." Yeah.
Anyways, so again, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for those who donated. We will see y'all later. Good night. As soon as I find the button. Where's the button? Hit the button.
You know what? It's time for payback now that you can't find this button. Every time that Robert Adams, just hit the button.